Welcome to Scrum Masters of the Universe. We have with us here today Herman, and Herman is from Netherlands. So he's going to talk to us today about Scrum Master Yourself with Herman. So we have quite a lot to learn from him. Herman is a seasoned Scrum Master and Agile coach himself. He supports individuals and teams to build high performance in organizations. When he started applying Agile and Scrum at home, he discovered the power of these proven practices for personal use. He shares his journey as a Scrumpy dad on Medium and on LinkedIn. He inspires people across the globe with his personal stories and practical guidance. If you have not already, I highly recommend you following him. The links are in the chat, as you can see. And with that being said, thank you and welcome, Herman, to Scrum Masters of the Universe. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Anu, for the nice introduction, and welcome everybody. Glad that you could join us. I know that for me it's a comfortable 7 p.m. in the evening, but some of you are during your lunch break or maybe even during work hours, so I'm very privileged that you're here. I'm going to share my screen. So that's going to be this one. So you see hopefully the first slide. I'm going to talk to you about my experiences for applying Scrum Master and Agile practices at home, primarily for personal use, but also I've done some friendly experiments with my family, and I will share plenty of examples in this story with you. And I'm very much open to questions, so Anu and Katjana will take care of those, but feel free to interrupt, raise a question in the chat. And that will be great. Also, if you think I'm talking too fast, that's one of my weaknesses that I'm still working on. But, I think I'll be fine. But before we head off, I prepared a little quiz for all of you, because I would like to get to know you a little bit better. So, if you can, please join Mentimeter. There's the code at the bottom, 46838587. I think Katjana is also going to put it in the chat, if I'm correct. And I see the first people entering, that's great. How many people do we have in the call currently?
We have about 40.
Okay, so let's wait a little bit when people are getting in. Of course, this is a typical thing to do, right? As a Scrum Master, to have some kind of check-in at at a ceremony or an event. The numbers are getting up. I think it's time to move to the first question. I would like to know who's in the audience. So if you could please answer the question, what's your role? It's a big assumption that many of you will be maybe Scrum Master, given the name of this community. But I'm fairly sure that other people might also be joining and interested. So yeah, majority is Scrum Master. So that's cool. So I know who's the audience. For your reassurance, I'm not going to dwell very much into Scrum itself or quote from the Scrum guide. So and it's been nice to see that many people are familiar with Scrum one way or the other. The next question, it's a orientation question. You can navigate your pin on the map, and I'm very curious to see where everybody's from. I know one person already from Canada. Some people, oh look, South America. I practiced this morning, and I had a very difficult time putting the pin on Netherlands. That's because it's a very tiny country. So you can also settle for the continent. That's good enough already. So many people from United States, Canada, several people from Europe, India, Brazil, I think. Is that correct? The one dot in South America. Nice. Now the next question. Just overall, if you can choose between these 5 levels of happiness, which one suits you best at the moment? Ah, oh, one sad person. I feel for you. I hope I can contribute a little bit with this presentation on your happiness during or maybe after the session. It's great to see that many people are okay and higher up on the scale. So it's very cheerful, very happy about that. It's a more open-ended question. What makes you happy? An activity, an event, a hobby, whatever goes. Please type in something that makes you happy. Music, yes. Ikigai. Nice. Animals. Vacations, yes, please. Chakras, the lake, self-love. Oh, this is sitting at the beach, yes, please. Beer, yes, it's like that one. So as you can see, my dog, yeah. There's a lot of things that can get people happy. My children, definitely. But it's also very personal, right? Not everybody has to love beer, not everybody is a vegan, not everybody has access to a beach, maybe. But there's many ways how you can create your own happiness, and it's very personal, of course. So thanks for being so open and sharing your happiness secrets. And then we get to the a very practical one, very much out of interest, of course. I apply some practices and mechanisms from Agile Scrum at home. Maybe you do that as well. I'm just very curious if you're doing maybe a Kanban board. Yeah, that's a nice one. Maybe do some kind of retro perspective, or you have some tips and tricks that you use as a Scrum Master. Break things down, yes, empiricism. Just in time with a smiley. I think I know what that means. Trying to make sure to complete tasks before moving to the next one. That's a nice one. We all know that it's very important to need to finish stuff and not to get too much work in progress, right? Feedback loops, retro, cool. Ah, I see a very nice example at the bottom. A retrospective about a family gathering. The oldest participant was 89. That's impressive one. If you later on in this session would like to share about that experience, I would be very interested to hear more about that. Sizing, yes. Conflict management, cool. I'm impressed. Nice to see that people are also taking work experiences back home and make the best out of it there as well, right? We often think we want to separate private life and professional life, but it's very hard if you're the one who's in both of those lives all the time. So yeah, why not take the benefit and bring good experiences back home? That's it. Yes. So we move back to the presentation. And we go to this slide. Very quick introduction about myself. Some time ago, I started off as a developer. I studied computer science. Did it for about 10 years, but I liked very much to work with people. So I got the opportunity to move into a management position, and it was very cool to have a bit more power and authority to make arrangements for people, to help them out, to coach them on their personal development, to maybe sometimes resolve conflicts, but have an impact to support them in their growth and their happiness at work. In the middle, there's actually a picture of me sitting there. So what the picture was taken for a recruitment campaign. The only picture of me in action as a manager behind the screen, obviously. I worked with very different companies, small startups, different domains like governmental agencies, telcos, really diehard IT companies. But I liked very much the coaching style. And when I got more and more exposed to Agile and Scrum, I started to try to help there out as well as more like maybe an Agile manager, or sometimes take the role of a coach, sometimes step up as a Scrum Master, although not always knowing that was what I was doing. And in 2017, I decided to switch careers and join a consultancy firm where I could act as Scrum Master and Agile coach full time. No more management hassle, but just do the thing I love. And that was really great. And what you see there on the picture on the right is me facilitating a community meetup of all Scrum Masters from the Dutch police. It's about 60 people in a room having a very wonderful afternoon working on their own personal growth and plans for the future. But that's work. There's also me at home. And here you see me in lots of different roles. And roles is a theme that you will hear more about in this session. I'll start from the left hand top. That's me and my wife, Katerina. We are in a typical carnival outfit. Not sure if carnival exists in the US. I think you may have something like Mardi Gras in New Orleans, a bit similar, I guess. People dress up, have fun on the streets, and it's very enjoyable. Then the next picture is me and my kids from my first marriage. I have a lovely daughter and son, Mike and Bart, very Dutch names. They are now in their 20s. Bart is still studying, Mike is working. In the next picture, you see me and my stepdaughter, Valerie. But my wife also had a kid from her first marriage. And we get along very well, and it's really, really great. But there's more roles I play, and I think the same holds for you. I'm also a son, so there's the picture with my dad, who's 86 at the moment. I'm a brother. That's where you see in the next picture where we are sailing. Then we go to the bottom. I'm very much a DIY guy. I like to do stuff with my hands and see something happening. Because coaching and facilitating can be something very mindful and intellectual, but making stuff, fix stuff, and improve stuff at home is very rewarding too. And I'm also trying to learn and play golf for the last few years. That's also an interesting hobby, not just technique, but also a big mind game. I'm a colleague, yet another role. There you see a nice team dinner. And the next picture is me as a Scrum Master at the police, where I facilitated the sprint review. And last but not least, there's me signing my book when it was first available from Amazon, because I'm a very proud author of a Scrum Master's Guide to the Happiness. And I'll be talking about that book and the contents and examples during this session. My writer's journey is also maybe worth talking about a little bit. I started, as Anu also mentioned, blogging on Medium. First about my experience at home with Scrum for myself and with family. But I also submitted some articles for Serious Scrum. I think that's maybe a publication that you guys know as well. I posted an article about how to do self-assessment as a Scrum Master. how to avoid the productivity trap, and lots of other things. I have a newsletter on LinkedIn that I kept on going for a while, and of course the book that came out December last year. And as an example about what you can do with Scrum at home, I'd like to tell a little bit of a story about a very special evening we once had as a family. As I said, I've used Scrum primarily for my own development and own planning and reflection. But sometimes you see opportunity to apply Scrum for different purposes. And if you go back in time, when I was divorced, my kids were coming over every weekend, which is great. But it was a bit troublesome sometimes because they had to switch between two households from their mother to our household. I was in a new relationship that was also a bit tough on them to figure out how that works when dad has a new female partner. And so communication-wise, and they were in their puberty, communication-wise didn't always go very well. And there were some tensions, and they didn't always get resolved on the spot with the four of us together. But often they would approach me, and I had to straight out the issues, or I was sort of the mediator in between. And although they thought it was good enough for them, I felt that we were missing out on things, and that the situation could really improve if we learned better how to get on with each other. So I arranged for a retrospective with family. I didn't really tell them a lot about it, but I gave them some homework. First, of course, I asked them, "Are you willing to have this conversation with the four of us, with my wife and my two kids?" They said yes. So I gave them some homework to think about which values are important to you, and what do you like about our little family together in the weekends, and what would you like to see different? And what was really cool, that the moment we started cleaning off the table after dinner and we prepared to have this conversation, the atmosphere was already settling in, became very sort of serene and open and friendly. And we had the most beautiful conversation by talking about our own values and how we saw how things were going. And we had cool stuff to talk about. I learned also as a dad that I don't always have to check on their grades when they come to us on Friday. That my son appreciates that he's left alone in his bedroom as a real teenager. And we all had something to learn from that. And after that session, the communication was really improved a lot. And since then, it was so much easier to discuss topics, to discuss tension, to kill conflicts before they escalated. So I was really happy that we did this exercise. That was really cool. And then, come to think of it more and more, I realized that Scrum can be it's very applicable also at home for private life as well. One of the reasons, I think many of you will have seen the Stacy matrix before, where you can split up the domains of problems depending on how certain you are on what is needed or what do you want. Normally as a customer, but also in private life, what do you want as a person, and also how to go forward, how to make that happen. And I think a lot of things in personal life are complex in a way, because you don't always know what we want. Talking about relationships, talking about your career, talking about education, and sometimes you also don't know how to go forward. So then empiricism, how to do little experiments to figure it out on the way, is quite a natural thing to go forward for us as human beings. A lot of things we also do, like eating, walking, talking, cycling. Those are kind of things we do also empirically, how we learn them. And you also sometimes have more incidental situations, like an accident or illness or a disaster. Then also you find yourself in a complex domain because you don't know what to do now and how to go forward. So complexity is something we have to deal with as human beings anyway. And as well, the Scrum values can also be very applicable. Values are very nice to live by. They act as a moral compass for our lives. If you live according to your values, you feel pretty, I think, happy and content with how things are going and working out. Well, if you don't have any values yet, if you look at the Scrum values, well, they look really great, I think, if you would apply them to your private life as well, right? Would also want to be more courageous or have focus and be open and have respect and commitment. And last but not least, Scrum is also designed to achieve goals and create value. Well, that's an interesting one, because what means value then in your personal life, right? And what is valuable to you could be different than what's valuable to me. And I think there's one thing we have in common, and that is what we always are striving for, some kind of happiness. That is, if we live a happy life, if we're happy, then we have achieved some level of valuable living, I think. So there's the catch with happiness. There's also a bit of a catch with Scrum, I think. If you look at IT or business, then yeah, you have 3 accountabilities, as they're now called in the Scrum Guide. And typically, they're done by different people. So that makes it quite clear. You can turn to the product owner, you can, the Scrum Master can arrange stuff, can step in. But if you're applying Scrum for yourself, then actually you're like kind of a one-person Scrum team. And that becomes interesting because, yeah, then you have to change hats all the time. And that's something we are not very good at. And typically we are very much focused on getting stuff done, right? Getting to work, taking care of personal stuff at home, doing all kinds of stuff. If we have enough time, prioritization is a luxury, but if we get stressed, yeah, we need to make choices. So then we will be triggered to prioritize and make choices. But the thing that will suffer, and I think that's a risk in general, most easily is like to take a step back and reflect on how you're doing and where you're heading. So that's the Scrum Master in you, I think, that deserves sometimes a bit more attention to make sure you're still living the life in the way you want it and that you're still on course for what you think is important. So finding the right balance between these 3 roles is an important aspect, I think, of becoming happy. So talking about happiness. Now I have a question for you, because I've been rambling on already for quite a few minutes. Talking about happiness, how would you define happiness? Could you get your fingers on a keyboard and come up with a personal definition of what happiness is, according to you? I'll be very interested to know. I'm trying to find where is the chat? There is the chat. Happiness is not needing happiness to feel happy. That's a nice one. Growing as a family. Being content in current circumstances. Yeah, I think that's a strong one. Mindset of contentment and gratitude. Clear conscious. That's also will help for happy. Yeah. Enjoying life, no worries, connection. Cool. Yes. Thank you for your contributions. Well, this question has been keeping a lot of people busy in the past already. So here you see also the different philosophers from different ages and different countries who've also been thinking about it. You can see they're all different in a way, and they have thought about what is happiness, how does it look like, but also how to get it. Yeah, Buddha has this idea of this noble eightfold path. they have all interpretations, and yeah, that makes happiness an interesting aspect, and yet also very personal, I think. What you see a lot is that people sort of project happiness in the future. If I have a certain object or thing, a car, a house, a job, then I will be happy. But it means almost automatically that they sort of deny happiness right now because it's not here yet. So that's it's in the future, and that's tough. Also, because typically what happens is that the real path is not as straight as they hope for. So there's lots of setbacks and disappointment, unexpected scenery to attend to. So that's one way to look at it, but not always very fruitful. Another way is to look for happiness right now. That's of course very valid, and being content with your current life and current circumstances and be grateful for what you have right now is a very clear way of creating instant happiness. You can also right now think of nice experiences you had. If I think about my holiday in Greece earlier this year, I'll be instantly happy because of the nice experiences. So that's a nice way to create happiness. But you can also overdo it and seek sort of more like instant pleasure. And then you can think about, yeah, getting addicted to social media, become a thrill seeker, get addicted to drugs, whatever. Sure, you get instant happiness, but it's not very sustainable. And you'll be unhappy later on if you're not careful. So I think the trick is to combine those two. And on one hand, be just happy and content with what you have right now. And there's a lot, I think, if you just look at yourself to be grateful for. Just being alive is already something to be happy about, I think. And then still, yeah, it's fine to have goals and objectives and ideas to strive for in the future. But it's more rewarding, I think, if it comes from kind of curiosity and yeah, maybe a nice adventure thought to move towards a next state of happiness, and meanwhile make sure that you enjoy the ride, right? Instead of denying yourself happiness because you're not in the future yet. There's only now, so make sure that you enjoy what you're doing, and you never know what's going to happen. So just focus on your efforts and actions, and results will pop up sooner or later. So what I've done in my book, maybe more as my approach, I came up with a metaphor like a steering wheel, how you can take control of your life by seeing your life as a sailing boat, and you're the captain of your life's ship. And if you look carefully, I think some of you, most of you maybe are familiar with the so-called team canvas that we often use to build teams and to set up teams. Well, I took a lot of those elements and put them in here. So let me quickly talk you through it. So it's very interesting and very helpful to look at your life and look like what kind of roles do I play? Yeah, I'm a dad, I'm a writer, but you're also a son or dad or daughter. All those roles, yeah, need somehow attention, and very likely some of those roles, yeah, well, you have set some goals for yourself because you want to be maybe a better parent, or you want to learn a new sport. So those goals are very helpful to have. So what are those? What are you aiming for? And a time frame from 1 year could be very helpful, could be very effective. And a trick that I use to set goals, SMART is one way to set goals, but another way to define a goal is use more the user story format, where you say like, as a certain role, I want to do something in order to, and then you have your motivation, your why. And I learned that from experience that having that why clear helps a lot also to keep on going and to adjust and find motivation, because otherwise yeah, things can become a chore, and you don't want to rely just on resilience to make it towards the end. If you can keep reminding yourself of why you want something, why you think it's important, that is very inspirational. We talked about values before. Those are also very valuable by definition to have in your life because they give you guidance, right? What's important to you, and there's lots of ways to how you can find those out. There's list of values out there. There's games about with value cards. You can also think about people that inspire you and which value do you associate with those people. Those could be values for you as well. And you would like to translate them into behavior because value is very abstract. So how does that value look like? One of my values is inspiration. So that means what I like to do is read a lot and read new stuff and process that and bookmark that. But I also like writing and telling stories. That's inspiration for me. So that's one other section of the steering wheel. And it's also good to know, of course, what are your strengths and weaknesses? What are you good at and what not so much? And that's something that you can ask for feedback from people. You can think about what do you get from compliments from people, or what do they admire you for? If they ask for help from you, why is that? So my question to you, as a small exercise, is think about you as what are your superpowers? What is a quality that you have that you think is a really signature quality from you? Let's see that in the chat because I think we have a lot of potential in us anyway. Ja, kalm, kijk. Planning, staying calm, communication. That's also a nice one. Positive and happy. Cool. Optimistic. I'm bad at fancy presentations. Is that a quality or a weakness? I'm not sure. Acknowledging others. That's nice. Yes. Thank you. There's a lot of nice qualities in this group already, right? Then, and based on all that, you can also then define for yourself if all these things are important to me, what do I need to develop myself on? Which kind of qualities, skills, competencies would I like to learn? And then, what do you need to make that happen? So resources, time, budget, whatever. And last thing but not least is the thing in the middle, the purpose. And for that, in the book, I explain it's a bit of the Ikigai exercise, how you can find your own personal purpose. Because if you have found that, it's a very strong sort of North Star, I think, for everything that you do. You can make choices based on that. And you don't have to aim for it at the very end. It's also every single step that you take right now that sort of brings you close to your purpose feels good. So that's also a way to find happiness already in a moment, not just when you have reached your purpose. I wonder if you ever reach a purpose, by the way. It can be something that's really like more direction than a destination. And the trick with this exercise is that you first take the bigger circles. What are you good at? What do you love? What does the world need? That you fill it out based from your own perspective. And then you try to find out, make the combinations. And then you zoom in to the middle, and there you find that's a sweet spot. And then you find stuff that you're good at, that you love, and what the world needs. That gives you more like a meaningful life, I think. And I'll give you an example how that looks like for me. I think you already see it over there as well. It's almost the same one, yes, still. So for me, my purpose, I inspire people to create more happiness in their lives for themselves and their loved ones by sharing my personal stories. And that's doing this exercise, and you don't have to do it, you can do it like maybe once and then update it once a year or so. That's really good enough. It's really nice to sit down and check in with yourself, like, hey, how does that look like for me? I also did it once together with my wife, Katarina, because she was fed up with her job. And she noticed she was also changing jobs and getting into the same kind of jobs. And doing this exercise helped her find out like what she really wanted. And that was something that gave her insight that she really choose for a different kind of company, a different kind of branch to work for. And since then, she stayed there for a very long time and was very happy with that choice. Then I noticed that people mentioned also Kanban in the opening questions about what can you do. So I've also applied it as well. I find it very effective, particularly because it's like visual. It's here behind on my wall. I've used a Trello board on my phone for a long time, but I think this is more in my face and more explicit. So it helps me a lot to keep things sensible, not to take up too much, make sure things get to done. And well, with so many Scrum Masters in the audience, I don't think I have to explain all that, right? It's common ground for all of you. This is how my board looks like right now. I've split it up in different personal goals and also something more about everything to do with my book and the stuff I'm offering around the book. The next thing is, of course, well, time is always critical. So how do you act as your own product owner? How do you make choices? I think you all know the famous Eisenhower matrix. Think about importance and urgency. But I think it's more valuable to look maybe at what's the impact of all kinds of actions and ideas and plans that I have. Do they contribute to my purpose? Do they strengthen my values? And what's the effort? And if it's low effort, high impact, of course you want to get it done. But if it's too big, maybe time to break it down in smaller pieces and see where it ends up then, right? So this is another way of looking at everything that you want to do and how to break it up and make it manageable and executable. This is another nice one I encountered once, where you make a difference between what you can control, what's inside your circle of influence, circle of control, and is it how well or how bad are things in there? So this is also about gratefulness, things that go well that you've done yourself. Well, keep on going. If others have contributed to that, that's a big thank you. But here, the upper left corner, this is the stuff where you can really make a difference, right? If things you want to improve. And I'll share one more hand drawing. What you also can do is look at the roles that you play. This is an example from 1 or 2 years ago when I was really spending a lot of time in refurbishing our house. And I realized that my writing was really down the drain. But then there's still the choice, like, is it bad or not? Do I accept that this is the way it is? Because your potential is way at the outer side. So you rate yourself on every axis, like, how am I doing as a dad on a scale from 0 to 100, for instance, and then you color the inside area that gives what you're currently doing, and the outer area, there is the room for improvement if you choose so. So that gives a nice insight in how you spend your time. Something that's also maybe not very common, but more and more is possible here as well, is, of course, if you are planning stuff and aiming to achieve some goals, how do you make that measurable? And that's where metrics come in. And I'm not going to talk about velocity here, but depending on your own goals, for me, health is very important. For instance, I really care about getting old in a good shape because I want to live long and happy and healthy. So I look at my weight, I look at my sleep, for instance. I mentioned I was playing golf. I keep track on how I'm doing, how many balls I lose over a game of golf, for instance. That's quite an impressive number. But also from the writing the book project, yeah, I asked my reviews also for ratings on the chapters that I sent them. But if you also look at the different roles you play in your life, yeah, you want to also get some feedback on that as well, right? How do you make it measurable? How well you're doing as a partner or a dad? That's a tough one. You can rate yourself at least. That's one step. That's what I more or less did in that previous handwritten diagram. But it's also good to have that conversation with the other person. If I think I'm a good dad, then maybe I should also ask my kids how they think I'm doing and ask them for input. A typical question I've asked them many times is like, yeah, how am I doing as a dad, and what could I do better to be an even better dad for you? That opens up very nice conversations and new possibilities. Question for you guys. Is there anything that you guys are measuring in your private life that you think is important and that helps you in keeping track on what you're doing and where you're heading? You can answer it in the chat if you want. Does measuring private life turn private life into work? Could be a risk as long as you don't measure it because you're measuring it. Wellness, yes. It's a reminder. Career growth, age till I retire. I think the measuring part sounds maybe like very formal and business-like, but it does also give a lot of insight in how you're doing, right? And use it more as an instrument and make sure you use it wisely. And you don't have to turn it into nice Excel reports for other people. That's the bonus part. Time spent on volunteer work. Nice, yes. Cool. Thank you for your contribution there. Well, the last thing, of course, if you are applying Scrum practices at home, is of course doing your retrospective somehow, right? Are you still living the life that you want to live in the way that you want it? So inspect and adapt to learn and improve over time. So what I typically do, and you have to find your own way that works for you, of course, if you want to explore this. I every Sunday morning I've got a little booklet and a pen next to my bed with a cup of coffee. I do a very simple exercise just to review the week and see how things went and what's going on. And there's lots, of course, typical formats that you can use, like keep and avoid, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Well, lots of things to choose from. And that's one way for me to review the week and see what I would like to focus on next week to improve. And if you're pressed for time, I would say like there's at minimum 2 questions you need to ask if you do the minimal viable retro is ask yourself like, hey, what's going well? So you can be grateful for what's going well. One thing you would like to change, right? And that's something you can think about when you're commuting, when you're brushing your teeth before you go to bed. That's really think something you could try and blend into your life and your routines. What I also then started to do after a while is do monthly retrospectives, and then this is in my garage. I also use some kind of retro format what I like. I try to vary with that a bit to not to get bogged down into the same format every time. You see, I rate myself on different goals, and it helps to take a step back, right? Not just looking like past week, but take a little bit step back and look at the past month, and that gives typically new insights because you see more patterns that spent over a week. And obviously, after a while, I thought, well, if I do a monthly, I could also do a yearly retrospective, and that's a lot of fun too. I did this one together with my wife. We made a timeline of last year, And underneath the timeline is like the sort of the lowlights of that year, and the highlights are above. Luckily, the highlights are outnumber the lowlights. But it's nice also to look back, because you typically forget what happened in the past year, and it's good to be grateful for, and to relive certain nice moments again, and to see based on these kind of experiences, like, hey, what can we do different next time? And also to learn from that. So New Year's resolutions are nice, but if you take the experience from last year, you stand a better chance of, I think, being more effective in the next year if you set goals. And as I said, you can do it together. That's really nice. There's another example. Skip that one. So overall, this is the approach I explained in the book. The steering wheel exercise, a Kanban-like board to plan your goals and the actions and the activities, and a routine to keep on inspecting and adapting to how you think you're going for yourself, or do it together with your partner or with your family. Yeah, that's all possible. It's all up to you how you would like to apply that and make that happen. And I'm very happy how it worked out for me. I've worked on this for a bit the past years, and put it all in the book. And I would like to thank you for your attention, because it's not in the evening for everybody. So I appreciate that you spend the time and came and join us. If you want to follow me, that's much appreciated on LinkedIn. I have a website called strumpydan.com. There's a mailing list you can subscribe to. And I added here a special discount code that you can apply in the web shop, where you can find a signed copy of the book, those templates, whatever you want in one or multiple variations. Have a look and enjoy the benefit of it. And I'm very curious to hear, what's your takeaway? What did you learn from this session? I would love to read your feedback in the chat.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Herman. That was a brilliant session. Thank you so much. And I had somewhere in between posted a link to the find the book in Amazon, but looks like you get a signed copy here, and you would also be able to use a discount code if that's shown on the screen if you were to use the link here. I'll find a way to post that here in the chat for others, and you should be able to use that.